2 twins have left. Have 4 new twins arrived?
Bert Blyleven and Danny Thompson are gone. Two new twins have arrived. Jim Gideon, the young pitcher, has gone right to the Tacoma Farm Club. Bill Singer, the veteran pitcher, pitched last night in Chicago, so he has a couple of days to get his things together.
Did he win, by the way, last night in Chicago?
He was not the winning pitcher. He wasn't involved. He was ahead 5-2, and he went out in the 6th inning, but wasn't involved in the decision. And speaking of Singer, Bill Veeck, the owner of the White Sox today, said he is playing that game under protest because Singer was an ineligible player, seeing as he was traded to the Twins already. So I guess he has a good beef there, but Singer is not here. There are a couple of twins here. Mike Cubbage, the infielder who will be used as a designated hitter tonight, along with Roy Smalley, the shortstop. And so let's go to the Met Stadium now for this live minicam report with Tom Hanneman.
Ralph, as you mentioned, there'll be 2 new twins in the starting lineup tonight. One of them is with me right here. The other, Mike Cubbage, is going to be starting as a designated hitter tonight. This is Roy Smalley, second baseman who came to us yesterday. Roy, first of all, welcome to the Twin Cities and the Minnesota Twins.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's good to be here.
What was your reaction yesterday when you heard the news that you'd been traded?
Well, I was relieved, to tell you the truth, because I was glad the ordeal was over. I had heard the rumors for about a week and a half that something was going to happen, and I went to sleep every night, or as the case may be, didn't go to sleep at night, wondering whether I was going to be a Minnesota Twin or a Texas Ranger the next day. And so I was kind of prepared for it, and now that it's over with, I'm relieved that it's over with, and I just couldn't be happier about playing shortstop and playing for Gene Mauch and the Minnesota Twins.
You've been starting at second base for Texas. Now I hear Gene Mauch is planning to put you in the shortstop position tonight. Is that going to be a difficult adjustment for you?
No, I'm a shortstop. The difficult adjustment was playing second base for Texas. I've played shortstop all my life, and that's the position I want to play. That's the position I play the best, and I hope I can do the job. I think I can.
Well, most of the fans know that Gene Mauch, Twins manager, is your uncle. Was he a help at all to you in your struggle to make the major leagues?
Oh, yeah. He's been a help to me since I was 4 or 5 years old, and talked about wanting to be a professional baseball player when I grew up. Both he and my dad being ball players and the great baseball men and teachers that they are, I've just had a wealth of knowledge to grow up with, and it's been a tremendous advantage.
Imagine you're looking forward to playing with him.
Absolutely. Always have. It's been a dream.
Thank you very much, Roy. With photographer Larry Kohout, this is Tom Hanneman live from Met Stadium.
Rated no contest, but Rochester John Marshall pulled one of the biggest upsets in the history of the state high school hockey tournament last night, a 4-2 win over the Edina East Hornets for their first state hockey title, and Tom Hanneman has the complete story.
No one really expected it to even be close, but somebody apparently forgot to tell Rochester John Marshall that they didn't have a chance. It seemed obvious no one had informed Bruce Aikens that Edina had much too strong a defense for the Rockets when he broke in on the Hornets' net and scored just 36 seconds into the game. Scott Lacey stunned the crowd with this shorthanded goal 7 minutes later, and suddenly the lowly Rockets had a 2-0 lead. Edina East rallied for a pair of goals to tie it at 2 after 2 periods, but the younger John Marshall team never lost their poise. The Rockets regained the lead on another Scott Lacey goal in the 3rd period before Todd Lacey turned Rochester's dream into reality with an open net goal in the final seconds that brought half the arena to its feet and the entire Rochester John Marshall bench onto the ice. It was a goal that sent the Rockets into orbit. Edina's dejected bench was a stunning contrast to the ecstatic group of John Marshall players. Rocket goalie Paul Butters typified the feelings of his team.
Being the Cinderella team gave us the edge because we knew that Edina would they thought that they were going to walk over us, so that gave us an edge, I think.
The victory celebration continued late into the morning and then resumed at John Marshall High in Rochester this afternoon. An overflow crowd of 2,000 Rocket boosters jammed the school gymnasium to cheer their newly crowned state champs. The fans heard from everyone from the school's athletic director to Rochester Mayor Alex Smedka, who introduced head coach Gene Sapp.
Man, if he would have run against me yet tomorrow, I'd lose. May I present to you the honorary mayor of Rochester for today and tomorrow, Gene Sapp.
The rally concluded after an hour, but the celebrations will undoubtedly continue for a long time. This is the first time they've ever had a state high school hockey champion here at John Marshall, but it probably won't be the last.
Coach Gene Sack loses only 4 players from their squad next year. With photographer Bruce Franklin, Tom Hanneman, WCCO Television Sports, Rochester.
More women. Once, and that one time John Nett was not there. That was the year he got called to the armed services for Uncle Sam. So a big win for John Nett, of course, with his son Steve on the team. Tom Hanneman is at the St. Paul Civic Center with his live mini-cam report on today's activities. Tom?
Ralph, I doubt very much whether there were many people at the beginning of this week that gave Winona Cotter much of a chance of winning the state Class A basketball championship, but they did a very thorough job of convincing nearly 11,000 fans at the Civic Center here this afternoon that they did deserve that title. Winona took an 11-9 lead midway through the first period and never trailed the rest of the way. Pelican Rapids fought back repeatedly in the second quarter, but it seemed every time they threatened to tie things up. Winona's number 42 coming up here, Steve Nett, hit from outside to pad Cotter's lead. Nett, who incidentally, as Ralph mentioned, is the son of Winona's head coach John Nett, dropped in 7 of those outside shots in the first half and then added 3 points in the second half to lead Winona's well-balanced attack. Jim Knutson of Pelican Rapids, who led his team into the finals, was pretty well contained by Winona's man-to-man defense. He finished with 17. Winona piled up a big lead in the second half before John Davis put the icing on the cake with an easy layup there to cap the scoring and give Winona Cotter a 60-47 win in their first state Class A basketball championship. An awful lot to cheer about there. Cotter had 4 men in double figures, by the way, and Pelican Rapids only 2. Earlier in the afternoon, Glencoe took third-place honors with a 63-55 win over Silver Bay. Glencoe's Scott Pfeiffer led all scorers with 29 points. And that about wraps it up here, I guess. We'll be back at 10 tonight with the highlights of the state AA championship between Prior Lake and Duluth Central. Ralph?
Okay, Tom.
Well, tonight is finals night for what has to be, I guess, one of the biggest weeks for girls athletics, maybe ever, I don't know.
Certainly, if you enjoy basketball, you had your fill this week, and it all wrapped.
Second best. Sklar's main event. You'll agree that every other sale is second best. Sklar's, 7th and Minnesota in downtown St. Paul.
Sale on now ends Monday.
Well, tonight is finals night for what has to be, I guess, one of the biggest weeks for girls athletics, maybe ever, I don't know.
Certainly, if you enjoy basketball, you had your fill this week, and it all wraps up tonight with both the women's college basketball finals and the state high school girls tournament. Now, there was plenty of action in last night's state high school semifinals as New York Mills gained entry into tonight's Class A championship with a convincing 42-32 win over Marshall University. Melanie Moore directed the Cardinals into an early 6-point advantage. Moore scored 6 points in the opening period, but then injured her leg and was held scoreless the rest of the way. Joan Johnson picked up the slack for Marshall U in the second quarter. She led the Cardinals with 13 points. The Cardinals pretty well neutralized Mills' Janet Carvonen in the first half, but Jenny Miller kept the Eagles in the game with shots like that. New York Mills outscored Marshall U in the third period, but then exploded in the final 8 minutes to come away with a 16-point, 48-32 win. Janet Carvonen, the freshman who broke the tournament scoring record with 29 points Thursday, came on strong in the closing minutes and finished as the game's leading scorer with 15 points. Mayor Lutheran pulled the biggest upset of the tourney in last night's second Class A semifinal. The Crusaders edged previously unbeaten Heron Lake 42-40. Heron Lake got off to a strong start. For an early lead, senior guard Betty Burns hits here for 2 for the Falcons. But this young lady, Cindy Balsam, number 20 in the light jersey, caught fire. She scored on a high arching shot there. Balsam, a sophomore, scored Mayor Lutheran's first 6 points of the game. And the Crusaders of Mayor, Minnesota kept pace with the taller Heron Lake team throughout the first half. And as I said, they went on for that win. So here's how tonight's championship schedule works out. New York Mills and Mayor Lutheran tango for the Class A title at 7 tonight. And then at 9 o'clock, St. Cloud Apollo meets Burnsville for the Class AA championship. It'll be defending champion Delta State of Mississippi against LSU for the championship of women's college basketball tonight at Williams Arena, I should say this afternoon, 4 o'clock. Delta State, the 2-time defending national champions, appeared to have things wrapped up in last night's semifinals when they shot a 61% average in the first half to take a 34-18 halftime lead. But Tennessee countered with 40 points in the second half and lost by only 4, 62-58. Cornelia Ward led the way with 19. Wanda Harrison collected 15. Lucy Harris added 14 points for the winners. Louisiana State gained its berth into the finals with a 74-68 upset of Immaculata College. The NCAA basketball tournament moves into semifinals this afternoon in Atlanta. And here's how that stacks up. 7th-rated Marquette takes on North Carolina's Charlotte in the opening game. And then 4th-rated Nevada Las Vegas meets the 5th-ranked Tar Heels of North Carolina. The North Stars resume their battle for a playoff spot in the Smythe Division tonight when they tangle with the Blackhawks of Chicago. Stars are currently in 4th place in their division, a point behind those Chicago Blackhawks. Twins outfielder Lyman Bostock said he won't be in a Minnesota uniform next year if he hasn't signed a contract before this year's season opener. Bostock, who hit .323 last year, is believed to be asking for a long-term contract in the neighborhood of $200,000 a year. The Twins, meanwhile, resume their exhibition schedule this afternoon, taking on the Houston Astros in Orlando. One of the most disappointing teams thus far in the Grapefruit League has been the New York Yankees. But as Ralph John Fritz reports, the disappointment shouldn't last long.
The New York Yankees came to Orlando and kept their record intact by selling out in every one of their road games during spring training. And why shouldn't they, with names like Reggie Jackson, Doc Ellis, Chris Chambliss, Carlos May, Greg Nettles, Catfish Hunter, Kenny Holtzman, just to name a few. You get the feeling you're at an all-star game rather than a spring training game. The banners reflect the feelings of fans all over the nation. The Yankees should have the pennant wrapped up before the ice goes out on Lake Mille Lacs. Former Twins manager Billy Martin, who's just as popular as ever with the fans, seems to be in a position of nothing to gain and everything to lose. But Billy isn't feeling any pressure to win, or at least that's what Billy says. The way I look at it, with everyone saying that the Yankees are going to have no problem winning the pennant, the pressure really has to be on you, doesn't it? Do you say to yourself, look, what can I do to make anyone happy?
Well, that's the one thing you don't do. You don't change the way you manage, otherwise complacency will set in. And if I was going to do what these people are talking about, I'd be up in Minnesota fishing during the summer and let the team just go on and manage them in the playoffs and the World Series.
So there are many contrasts between the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees. For starters, fans will be mighty surprised if the Yankees don't win the American League Eastern pennant once again, and they'll be surprised if the Twins do win in the American League West. With photographer Larry Kohout, this is Ralph John Fritz, WCCO Television Sports in Orlando, Florida.
Carol Rosenblum, the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, says it's a good bet that New York Jets quarterback Joe Namath will be playing with the Rams this season if his knees pass the team's physical exam. Tom Watson leads the Heritage Classic in Hilton Head, South Carolina by a stroke, and Barry, the top-ranked college hockey team in the country, the University of Wisconsin, faces Michigan tonight in the NCAA Hockey Championship in Detroit.
Okay, thank you, Tom. We'll have a final item in just a moment.
Announcing the most amazing kitchen cutting tool ever invented.
The Scene today. Join us at 6. Have a good afternoon.
From the Northwest Communication Center, this has been The Scene today. For up-to-the-minute news, it's The Scene at 6 on Channel 4.
My customers won't be able to keep from squeezing it.
Neither can you, Mr. Whipple.
New Charmin, fluffed up and puffed up. It's super squeezable.
The NCAA basketball tournament got off to a shocking start today when unranked Miami of Ohio upset the defending champion and third-ranked Marquette Warriors 84-81 in overtime. Scott Starks has the report.
The Mid-American Conference titleists started strong and finished even stronger at Market Square Arena. Leading through much of the first half, the Redskins trailed by just 5 at intermission, sophomore Rick Goins helping to keep it close. When All-American Butch Lee caught fire, Marquette seemed on the way to an easy win. Then center Jerome Whitehead was banished on a flagrant foul, and the defending national champs watched a 13-point lead shrink to a 73-all tie. Lee could hit just one of a pair at his end. John Shoemaker then driving for 2 Miami points. That gave Jim Boylan a chance to win it for Marquette. The 6'2 guard connected just once amidst the tom-toms and jeers of the Miami cheering section, the game going to overtime at 75 apiece. In the extra session, the two clubs trade scores, then Butch Lee makes it 81-79 Marquette. Less than a minute left, Archie Aldridge using body control to get the bucket and the foul. His free throw wins it. Rich Babcock adding the clinchers with 14 seconds left. Miami of Ohio does the impossible in the Mid-East Regional, 84-81, the overtime win over Marquette's defending national champs.
In other NCAA regional action, Arkansas beat Weber State 73-52. Michigan State down Providence. Number 1 Kentucky slipped past Florida State. Second-ranked UCLA dumped Kansas. And the Dons of San Francisco edged North Carolina. The Twins bombarded Detroit 11-2 this afternoon in Orlando, and that's a second straight win for Minnesota. Craig Cusick, Bombo Rivera, Larry Wolf, and Willie Norwood all homered for the Twins. Jeff Zahn recorded the win. The two teams meet again tomorrow afternoon in Lakeland, Florida. Well, the stage is set for tonight's State High School Hockey Championship between Grand Rapids and Edina East. Game time is 7:30 at the St. Paul Civic Center. The Big Green Machine won their berth in tonight's final with a 5-3 upset of previously unbeaten Roseau last night. The key to that game was the outstanding performance of Edina's Mike Lowen, who put the Hornets up 2-1 with that goal and then scored the eventual winner there. Lowen is one of 8 juniors on Willard Eichela's squad. Lowen then capped his incredible night with an insurance tally, his third goal of the game, to give Edina East a 5-3 win. Coming up right there. Well, Grand Rapids also had their hands full last night. This goal coming up by Scott Kleinendorf put the Indians up 2-1. Then with exactly 1 minute left in the second period, Indian defenseman Erwin Frizzell drove home the eventual winner with this rocket, and Grand Rapids went on to that 4-2 win over Mounds View. Edina East and Grand Rapids did meet one other time this season, and the Hornets came away with a 4-3 win. Hill Murray edged Rochester John Marshall 4-3 in overtime to take consolation honors this afternoon at the Civic Center. Roseau won the third place game with a 5-3 defeat of Mounds View. The Rams struck for 4 of their goals in the first period. Butsy Erickson scored the first. Aaron Broughton then added a pair of goals to make it 3-zip Roseau. Mounds View charged back with a pair of power play tallies, but in the end they came up a bit short. Final again there, Roseau 5, Mounds View 3. The Gopher hockey team battled Colorado College to a 3-3 tie in the first game of their 2-game series last night at Williams Arena. This is a total goal series, so the winner of tonight's match will advance into the playoffs, and the season will be over for the loser. Steve Kristoff put the Gophers out front 1-0 with this, his 31st goal of the season. Colorado and the Gophers wrap up their series tonight, 7:30 at Williams Arena. The State High School Gymnastics Tournament concluded today, the girls' gymnastics tournament, with individual competition. Teresa Thompson of Burnsville repeated as winner of the balance beam and uneven parallel bars. Teresa, yesterday's all-around winner, led Burnsville to the team championship. And defending champion New York Mills won a return trip to next week's State High School girls basketball tournament with a 78-58 defeat of Perham in the Region 6A title game last night. Now, Janet Carvonen, who you might remember from last year's tournament, scored a career-high 51 points in that game. And Janet is only a sophomore. UCLA's Mike Tully set a world indoor pole vault record at the NCAA track meet in Detroit today. Tully cleared 18 feet, 5 1/4 inches, breaking his old world record by over an inch. And the North Stars, cellar dwellers in the Smythe Division, face the Blues in St. Louis tonight. Gary Smith will be in the nets for the Stars.
Who are you picking tonight in the high school tournament?
Well, I guess I have to go along with Edina East, although I wouldn't be surprised to see Grand Rapids win.
All right, I'll take Grand Rapids, you take Edina, and we'll see. We'll settle it later, okay?
You're on.
And we'll be back in just a moment with a few final items.
Bothered by occasional morning pain and stiffness of arthritis?
The Twins' early season woes continued last night as they suffered their 5th straight loss, dropping a 3-2 decision to the California Angels. The 4,500 customers at the Met last night watched the Angels grab a 1-0 lead in the first inning. California center fielder Lyman Bostock set things up with his 6th hit in nearly 50 trips to the plate this season, a double to left center. Well, Joe Rudy then set Bostock racing home with a looping single to right center, and California had an early 1-0 advantage. The Twins evened the score in the 3rd inning. With Bobby Randall on second, Rod Carew stroked a breaking ball into right center to collect his 13th RBI of the season. The Angels countered with a pair of runs in the 6th. With 2 out, designated hitter Don Baylor smacked a Dave Goltz offering 375 feet into the left field bleachers. The Twins literally stole one of those runs back. With Randall at the plate, they executed a delayed double steal. Houskin Powell took second, and then Danny Ford stole home to score the Twins' 2nd run. That, unfortunately for the Twins, was the extent of their scoring. Final again there, California 3, Twins 2. 2 teams meet again this afternoon starting at 1:15 at the Met. Twins rookie Roger Erickson will face Frank Tanata, who's sporting a 3-0 record. Lyman Bostock went 1 for 4 at the plate last night to raise his average to 125. And that's certainly not an impressive figure, especially for Lyman. But when you consider he was hitting .051 last week, it's a marked improvement. I spoke with the ex-Twin before last night's game and asked him if he still intended on refusing his April paycheck.
If I continue hitting the same way I've been in the past, I won't accept my paycheck. That's true.
You feel any added pressure trying to justify your new salary this year?
No, I didn't feel none at all. I wasn't getting paid for this year. I was getting paid for the previous year I had before, hoping that I do well this year. This is what always is taken into consideration when any ball player signs a new contract. You sign because of the past, not because of the future.
It's no secret that Rod Carew is an extremely intelligent hitter at the plate. 6 American League batting titles will attest to that. During yesterday's Welcome Twins luncheon, Rod also demonstrated his intelligence at the microphone in an interview with former Twin slugger Harmon Killebrew.
You know, I haven't had the opportunity to talk to too many guys that hit 388 for an entire year. What does Rod Carew do for an encore?
Hit 389, I guess.
Quarterfinal rounds of the NHL and NBA playoffs are winding down. Last night in the National Hockey League, the Canadiens dumped the Red Wings before 16,000 in Detroit. The defending Stanley Cup champs are now lead that series 2-1. Boston took a commanding 3-0 lead with a 4-3 overtime defeat of the Chicago Blackhawks, and Toronto shut out the New York Islanders 2-0 to cut New York's advantage 2-1. Philadelphia meets the Sabres in Buffalo tonight. NBA last night, the Denver Nuggets took a 2-0 lead in their best-of-7 series with Milwaukee, 127-111 over the Bucks. Washington down San Antonio 118-105 to take a 2-1 lead in that series. And the defending NBA champion Portland Trailblazers edged Seattle 96-93 to even that series at 1 game apiece. Well, WBA heavyweight boxing champ Leon Spinks, arrested and charged yesterday in St. Louis with possession of marijuana and cocaine, now claims he had no such substance on him and that he was framed. Police stopped Spinks for driving without his headlights on early Friday morning and found what is believed to be a packet of cocaine and marijuana in the car. Freed on bond, Spinks was questioned at the St. Louis airport last night.
Chip, are you sorry you came home?
No, I'm not sorry. No, I'm not sorry.
No good things ever seem to happen to you here lately.
Well, you know, that's the way people are.
Are you feeling harassed as a result of this?
In a way not, you know.
Think the police are out to get you?
I don't know, they might be.
What happened this morning?
What was it in your
I'd like
hat,
for him not to make any statement about what happened. You'll find that out in court.
Gary Player continues his phenomenal domination of the professional golf tour. The South African, who during the past 2 weekends has won the Masters, the Tournament of Champions, fired a 67 yesterday, and that coupled with an opening round 64 gives him a one-shot lead midway through the Houston Open. Andy Bean and Bob Murphy are tied for second. And Jim, the Vikings lost out on their bid to attain free agent running back Jerry Latin, who was retained by his old club, the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cards decided to match a contract offer made by the Vikings.
Thank you, Tom. We'll be back in a moment with another item or two of interest.
Well, if you're a Minnesota fan of almost anything today, today was your day.
You're right, Barry. What with a Kicks win over Hawaii in their home opener, the Twins with a 5-4 win in Toronto, and Portland and Philadelphia, of course, that's a little bit offbeat, winning the NBA playoff games, and the Gopher baseball team winning 2 from Wisconsin lacrosse. So it was a good day for local sports fans. Now we go out to Met Stadium and a report on the Kicks home opener with Hawaii. Here's Tom Hanneman by way of Channel 4's Minicam.
Hal, Kicks coach Freddie Goodwin felt last year's phenomenal season would be a tough act to follow, but the Kicks got off to a great start here at the Met this afternoon, beating Team Hawaii 3-0 before an NASL home opener record crowd of 35,966. The Kicks controlled play throughout most of the first half, finally broke onto the scoreboard 28 minutes into the game. Number 21, Adi Coker, stole the ball near the Hawaii goal and then set up Alan Willie, who pumped the ball into the net, and the Kicks led 1-0. The 35,000-plus fans here today represented the 5th largest throng to ever watch a league game. Kicks goalie Jeff Barnett played a superb game, as witnessed by this save on Yilman Oren of Hawaii. Barnett now has 2 shutouts in 4 games this season. Well, the story of today's game was Alan Willie, who just joined the team last Monday from England. Willie, known to players and fans alike as the Dodger, was simply unstoppable this afternoon. He converted a Ron Fletcher header late in the first half to give the Kicks a 2-0 lead. Willie completed the 3-goal hat trick in the second half on this play coming up. For the moment it appeared Hawaii goalie had the ball. Willie finished the play by rocketing a rebound into the upper corner of the net. 3-0 the final. The Kicks now host Toronto here Wednesday night in a rematch of last year's Soccer Bowl. Back to you, Hal.
All right, Tom, in Philadelphia this afternoon, the 76ers took a 2-0 lead in games in their Eastern best-of-7 final playoff series with a 106-97 win over Houston. George McGinnis.
Donahue in the morning, weekdays at 8 here on Channel 4.
Good afternoon and welcome to a busy scene today, a day when we'll introduce you to a rather unusual mother on this Mother's Day, and we'll take you back to the 50s with a fish swallowing contest in Duluth.
This is Tom Hanneman live at Met Stadium, where this afternoon the Minnesota Kicks shut out Team Hawaii 3-0 before a North American Soccer League home opener record crowd of 35,966 fans. That story is also a part of the scene today.
From WCCO Television News, this is The Scene Today with Barry Peterson, Bud Kraling, and Hal Scott.
Duluth authorities are investigating an early morning fire that took one...
Donahue.
6 times the WCCO TV Wildcats have played the Govs team, now known by appointment as Wendy's winners. Today we went to Parade Stadium looking for our second victory. Well, at least we made a game of it. And our outfield defense was just fine. First inning, 3 up, 3 down, culminated by this fine running catch by sports reporter Tom Hanneman. Here comes Moore looking for the walk.
Pan in the fire, how does she feel about ERA, feminist freedom? Well, the Martha movement's offering these confused women guilt-free alternatives. On the next Donahue, join.
6 times the WCCO TV Wildcats have played the Govs team, now known by appointment as Wendy's winners. Today we went to Parade Stadium looking for our second victory. Well, at least we made a game of it. And our outfield defense was just fine. First inning, 3 up, 3 down, culminated by this fine running catch by sports reporter Tom Hanneman. Here comes Moore looking for the walk. He was aided by a strong wind and an obviously nervous Senator Anderson. Ball 3. And ball 4. Moore has managed to work this trick a few times this year with the help of sympathetic umpires. Here comes His Excellency. Wham! Wow, he really got a hold of that one. Next batter, wham! Next, wham! The Senator again, wham! Look at that smart aleck. Smart aleck, smart aleck, smart aleck. Well, he's a good sport, and he thanked us for showing up. 12-10, and it is the best game we played all year, and they thought we were just out there fooling around, but we were playing hard. Back at 10 tonight with The Scene Tonight.
Live from the Minnesota State Fair, this has been The Scene at 6. For more and later news, join us for The Scene Tonight at 10.
World of Aviation, new time every Saturday at 1 p.m. Fly North Central Airlines to 90 cities in the United States and Canada. The Vikings have nothing to do but play in the snow this afternoon. Is that rough on a team?
Well, I think it's perfect conditions for the Vikings, as they proved last week in Green Bay. Yeah, they love to play in that stuff. Kickoff for today's Viking 49er game is 1 o'clock right here on CCO television. The strength of the 49ers again this season is their running game. The San Francisco 49ers have been blessed with a number of explosive running backs over the years. Names like Hugh McElhaney, John David Crow, Ken Willard, and the great Joe Perry. But never has the club featured a 1-2 punch in the backfield comparable to the duo of Williams and Jackson. Viking fans remember them. The last time the Purple Gang faced the 49ers, Delvin and Wilbur both rushed for over 150 yards to lift San Francisco over the Vikings. Delvin Williams finished last season with over 1,200 yards to become the first 49er to break the 1,000-yard barrier in 17 years. His total also eclipsed the 49ers single-season rushing record set by Joe Perry back in 1954. Wilbur Jackson was not far behind. He reeled off just under 800 yards last season, his first year as a fullback in the NFL. The dynamic duo is back at it again this season. Both runners rank among the top 6 rushers in the NFC, and both appear well on their way to breaking the 1,000-yard mark. Jackson had his best day as a pro last week when he eluded the New Orleans defense for 190 yards. Probably the best way to describe these two runners is not to try to at all. Just watch them. will be the winners around the NFL this afternoon? Well, according to the Las Vegas odds makers, the Vikings should dump the 49ers by 2 touchdowns. Oakland is rated a field goal better than Los Angeles. New England, the 5-point pick over Atlanta. The Saints by 5 over the Jets. Washington, 6-point favorite over Buffalo. The Cowboys should take the Eagles by 14. Green Bay and Detroit are rated even. The Cards to fly past the Giants by 10. Chicago figures to hand the Bucks their 26th straight loss by 14. Denver's powerhouse to upend Houston by 2. San Diego is a choice over Cleveland by 4 points. Cincinnati, the 8-point pick over the Chiefs in Kansas City. Pittsburgh is the overwhelming choice over Seattle. And then on Monday night, Baltimore figures to edge Miami by 3. The New York Rangers outshot, outplayed, and as a result outscored the North Stars 4-0 last night at the Sports Center. Veteran defenseman Carol Vadnais got the Rangers rolling with this first period goal coming up here in a moment after Per-Olof Brazuer coughed up the puck in the North Star zone. There it is. 4 minutes later, the Rangers pulled the trigger again. This time New York was playing a man short. Eddie Johnstone, a rookie, scored this time. Walt Tkachuk assisted. There it is. The Stars had a great chance to score a bit later when Glenn Sharpley set up Tom Youngins, but Ranger goalie John Davidson broke things up. The North Stars had a hand in the Rangers' third goal as Dean Talafas put the puck right on the stick of Johnstone, who beat Peter Lepresti from 20 feet. Walt Tkachuk capped the scoring with a third period goal to make the final Rangers 4, Stars nothing. The Stars face the Rangers again tonight in New York. Herb Brooks' Gopher hockey team dumped Colorado 3-1 last night at Williams Arena to gain a sweep of their weekend series. Colorado grabbed a 1-0 lead in the opening period. The Gophers came storming back in the second to tie it. Steve Olsett came up with the equalizer. Minnesota then pulled ahead on Don Micheletti's goal in the third period. Brad Bosson, a freshman from Hastings, capped the scoring with a goal late in the final period. Weekend series, two weekend wins put Minnesota in sole possession of 4th place in the WCHA. In gym elsewhere last night in the WCHA, it was Michigan 7, Wisconsin 3, Michigan Tech down Notre Dame 7-1, and UMD clobbered Michigan State 10-6.
Thank you, Tom. We'll be back with more